Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this tutorial we're going to be sewing the shirt dress, and here I have my two Ankara fabrics which I'm going to be combining together. So here I've gone ahead to place my patterns on my fabric, and you can see this back is going to be placed on fold since there's not going to be zip or button at the back. Also you can see that the back is on fold, you can see there, and the yoke is also going to be placed on fold. So you can see I placed the yoke on fold. So for the sleeve is not going to be on fold, but we're going to be needing two pieces of the sleeve. Then for the front doesn't need to be on fold since we're going to be adding a button. So you can see that I did not place the front piece on fold. So you can see here that I've gone ahead to cut it, so I'm just going to be explaining the allowances which I added. So for the yoke, I added you can see that I cut the yoke on fold. Yes, don't forget to cut your yoke on fold. And I added 0.5 inches to the neckline, 0.5 inches to the shoulder, 0.5 inches to the armhole, and 0.5 inches to the under. Then for the sleeve, it's going to notch this center part. This is going to be your grain line, so please make sure you notch it because this will help us attach the sleeves to the garment. So also explaining the allowances which I added to the sleeve. So both sides I added 1 inch, and I added 1.5 inches at hemming, and at this top area I added 0.5 inches. Then for my front, sorry, this is my back, I'm sorry, remember that we added extra inches for the gathering and I cut it on fold. Then the top area I added 0.5 inches, then the armhole I added 0.5 inches, then the side I added 1 inch just like I added to the sleeve. Then at the bottom here, which will attach the gathers, I added 0.5 inches. Now for the front, remember that we need two pieces of the front, so we're not cutting the front on fold. So remember that we added some inches for our buttons, which we are going to be folding and attaching our button. Then to the neckline I added 0.5 inches, the shoulder I added 0.5 inches, the armhole 0.5 inches, the side I added 1 inch. Then at the bottom, which we are going to be adding the gathers, I added 0.5 inches. So now I'm just going to be marking this fabric because it's hard for me to tell which is the back and the front. So I'm just marking it and indicating so I know which is the back and the front, and I'm removing the pins. So here I have my front piece which I have placed together. You can see that I have two pieces of fabric here, and for the back I'm also going to be doing the same thing, marking the back of the fabric so I know. And you can see here that this is my back piece and it's not cut on fold, and I have a full piece here with me. So we're going to be attaching the yoke, and I'm also indicating the back of my yoke so I know the back of the fabric, and I'm going to remove the pins. So I'm going to be attaching the yoke to the back, and I'm going to first go ahead to gather this top area of my back piece before attaching the yoke. So I'm just going to sew two straight lines, two basting stitch on top of this, just 2 stitches, and this is going to help us create our gathers so that we can attach our yoke. So you can see here I've created the 2 stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this thread. So I'll go ahead and pull the thread so that I'll be able to create the gathers. So I've already done that, and you can see that I made sure that the gathers is at the middle. You can see I concentrated the gathers at a particular place. I didn't make it round because that's how the design is. So now I'm going to place my yoke right side facing right side like so. I'm going to go ahead and pin this together. Then I'm going to sew it down using the 0.5 inches allowance which I added. So you can see how it's going to look like. This looks nice, so I'm just going to sew it down using the 0.5 inches allowance which I added. So now that I've sewn it, this is how it looks. You can go ahead and iron so that it lays flat. So now I got my front piece, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to join the shoulders together. So we're going to join the shoulders together. Don't join the sides, so that we'll be able to attach our sleeves. So we'll just go ahead and join the shoulders together first using the 0.5 inches allowance which we added. So we'll just go ahead and join the two shoulders together. So I've joined the shoulders together, and you can see that I've pressed my seams open. I've also gone ahead to press the seam open so that everything looks nice and flat. So now the next step now is to attach our sleeves. So this is how it looks after joining the shoulders together. So now this is my sleeve, and remember, don't forget to notch your grain line or this midpoint. Then I'm just going to indicate which is the back and front, so that this will help us attach the sleeves together. You can actually indicate the back and front of your sleeve by notching it, but I just wrote it down so that I'll be able to show you guys how to attach it, knowing which is the back and front. So I'm just going to get one piece of my sleeves now. So you can see that I'm opening the garment up, opening the armhole, so that I'll be able to attach the sleeves. So this is one piece of my sleeve here which I have. So we must make sure we're joining the front to the front and the back to the back. So you can see I've labeled front and back. So I'm going to make sure that it's laying at the back, and this is the wrong piece. So I'm going to get the other one, make sure that the back is at the back. You can see the front is at the front here, and the back is at the back here. So I'm just going to make sure that's how it is. And you can see that, remember that place where we notched, you're going to make sure that place lays where our shoulder seam is. So I'm just going to get my pin, and I'm going to pin it there where the shoulder seam is. Then I'm just going to sew round from that midpoint all the way down. Then I'm going to also sew from that midpoint again all the way down like this. Please watch the video so that you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so I've attached the two sleeves, and this is what we have. I've also gone ahead to iron, press my seams open so that it lays flat and looks nice. So now what we want to do is attach the sides. After attaching our sleeves, what we want to do is attach the sides. Sorry, remember that we added 1 inch allowance, so we're just going to use 1 inch to sew and attach our sides together. So you can see here that I've attached my sides together, and it looks nice, and that was super easy. So now what we want to do is create our gathers. So first, I'm going to take my tape, and I'm going to measure round the hem of my dress. I'm just going to take the tape and measure it all round. So now we're going to be creating a plan for our gathers, and when I measured all round, I got 94.25 inches. So next we're going to determine the length of these gathers I'm going to be using, and I wrote down here 12 inches, which I think I ended up changing because my dress was too long. So just work with whatever works for you. Now for the width of these gathers, I'm just going to multiply whatever I measured times 2. So I multiplied that 94.25 inches by 2, and this is what I got, and that's what I'm going to be cutting at the width of my gathers. So I'm just going to get my grain ankara which I have here, and I'm going to measure out the width of the gathers. So first here, I'm cutting out the length at which I'm going to be using as the gathers, and also adding the hemming allowance. So now I'm getting the width of the gathers, which was about 180 something inches, and I had to add extra material to that because it was not long enough. So after getting that, we're just going to create gathers. Okay, we're going to create gathers. So now I've created gathers, and this is how it looks like, and I can just go ahead to attach this to my upper bodice. So now I'm going to place the right side of this ankara here on the right side of the right side of this other ankara, the hem at the hem. So I'm just going to sew this all round. So I'm just going to sew using the 0.5 inches allowance which I added to the hem. So I'm gonna head to sew it, and this is how it looks. Don't forget to use your iron to press your seams flat so that it lays nice and flat. So now we're going to be working on the buttons, and remember that we added 3 inches to this side, so that's what we're going to be making use of. So here I have my interfacing here, and it is 1 inch wide. So my interface is 1 inch wide. So what I'm going to do is iron it here at the side like this, then turn it once like so. So you can see what I'm doing. I placed it at the edge here, so I'm going to take it to my iron and iron it, then fold it like this, then fold it again twice. So that's how we're going to be making this for our buttons. So I hope you guys understand. So I'll just go through it again. So I'm going to place it at the edge. I'm going to place my interfacing at the edge. Remember that is 1 inch wide. Then I'm going to fold it once like this, then I'm going to fold it again twice. Okay, so I hope you guys understood that, and this is how it looks. You can see that I ironed it, folded it once, okay, then folded it twice again. So that's how we're going to be making this. So now we're just going to go to the edges, and we're going to sew 2 stitches, and this is how it looks. So I sewed it down, one at the edge and one at the side, creating 2 stitches. So I also went ahead to attach my collar, which I'm going to be showing in the next tutorial, and this is how my shirt collar looked like. I've already gone ahead to fix the buttons and the buttonholes on our dress. So in our next tutorial we're going to be fixing the collar.